Welcome to The Real Recipe, the podcast that brings you the perfect blend of real estate trends and topics, where we serve up fresh insights and sizzling strategies. So let's get cooking.
Good morning, everybody.
So today we're talking about what?
Trailing off of last episode, why it's important to have a real estate attorney. Some of the things that the attorney does that it just makes it very difficult when a client comes into a transaction and they're feeling like they can purchase or sell property without one.
Happens a lot.
Yeah, we run into that a lot. It's becoming more popular in New Jersey, which I wish it wasn't. So
well, I think because we have part of the state that's like no attorneys down south, and
right?
Attorneys up
Yeah,
north.
anything south, Ocean County and south.
Yeah, but
it's
you know
just
what?
they
It's
don't.
still,
They
it's
don't.
the same. It's the same transaction.
Exactly.
Same transaction. The property values, aside from the shore, in certain areas are lower. That's the only difference. But like, it's the same transaction.
Well,
the same
here,
legal aspects
a
around.
purchase contract is a contract.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
It's a legal contract. Mm-hmm. And as proficient as some people think that they are, they're not.
They don't practice law.
Right. They don't practice
Again,
real estate law.
so people
and you don't know.
understand-
Like,
so
and
people
that's what's crazy.
understand how New Jersey works. If you're in another state and you're watching this or listening to this, thank you. Thank you for listening. But we have what's called the New Jersey broker contract, right? That's the contract that's used, but it's not a contract until you get out of attorney review or agree to wrap it up, right? Mm-hmm. It's just an offer.
Yeah.
Right? That's what you write your offer on. Whereas like New York, you do a binder. We call it a binder. It's a term sheet, right? Commercial, you do an LOI, right? I wish that's kind of how things worked. And it wasn't just like the buyers are signing something that's called a contract and have really no understanding as to what they're really signing. Is it a contract? Mm-hmm. Is it an offer? When's it binding? That's why you need an attorney, first of all. It's like the best time for me to speak to clients is before they even think about putting an offer in. Mm-hmm. So they can understand. I just had this conversation last night with like a handful of brokers. Like, let me speak to the clients like a week before they want to start looking for properties or while they're in the middle of their search before they put an offer in. So I can actually explain to them why they need an attorney, how the process works, like what you're signing. Don't worry. Sign it. It's not binding. You can back out.
Yeah.
At any time until we conclude attorney review.
Well,
So
it's funny. Like when you do real estate, a lot of the customers just don't know, and I think that's part of the stress for people buying, especially first time home buyers, right?
Right.
People that have bought investment properties and bought all this stuff. They know they get it there,
yeah.
but it's that first time home buyer. That person, they look at this transaction and they go, holy crap. Like it's funny. Like when I actually talk to them, one of the first things I say to them is, oh, it's a little stressful for you, huh? A little anxiety. And every time it's always, yes, oh my God, I don't know where to start.
Right.
And I don't know what I'm talking about or don't know what to do. And so you spend the 10 minutes or 20 minutes talking to them and counseling them, right? It makes a huge difference for you because it also saves you time too down the road.
I'll spend an hour with a client.
Yeah.
On an intake call or before they make an offer because I know that hour will be well spent.
Do you feel like a client feels, I mean, like when they put that offer in, like you're saying, it's not binding anyway, but I mean, there must be some things that talking to an attorney beforehand can obviously give them a little bit more insight as to how to structure that offer. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure in general, they feel a little bit more comfortable putting that offer in and like a little less,
I think
trigger shy about doing it because they are like, okay, it's not binding. And, I got a little bit of peace of mind talking to the attorney first.
Right. Oh, I was going to say, I think one of my jobs as the attorney is the therapist.
Is the attorney?
No, as the attorney is also like the therapist, like taking that stress off you. And I joke with my clients all the time. I'm like, or my agents.
Sounds like massage therapy. Wait.
No, it's not. Why
Stress.
do we always have
Why is he trying to always just like pigeonhole you into that?
I don't know.
understand. Like you have any like you're siloing.
You're
siloing me into
massaging the situation.
Yes. With my words. So, no, but a large part of what I do for my clients, I believe, is to reduce the stress that they have as first-time home buyers. Right. So having that phone call up front, explaining why you need me, right? Because, again, we just said, well, if I buy in South Jersey, I don't need you. But you do. You do, because you're signing a contract that you really should have an attorney review because there's also parts of the transaction that everyday people and some everyday attorneys don't even really understand, right? Some attorneys don't understand how to review title. They don't understand what bulk sales are.
It's interesting because what people don't understand in South Jersey, and I know that a lot of the realtors who work down there all the time. They don't venture up into northern New Jersey or used to doing it, but there's a lot more post-closing litigation in South Jersey, especially from a title perspective.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
in northern New Jersey,
Wait,
when
no, hold on, wait a minute. A realtor who's been in the business for 8 months is competent enough to write a legal contract.
well, and they don't want to too. It's
that's
really,
what-
but it's really
I mean-
stressful for a realtor. I'm sure if anyone came on the show, they would say if their client didn't use an attorney in northern New Jersey, it would be twice as stressful for them because they're going to be
it's way more work
They're
for
going to
them.
be way more work. They're going to be fielding questions that they can't actually legally answer, and we get those questions all the time too. When
And
you know
can't answer, you just can't
we
answer.
Wait,
can't
hold
answer.
on. Can I give you a great scenario of why it's so important?
Please.
So last year, my brother bought another investment property, and he lives in Pennsylvania. And in Pennsylvania,
Okay.
they don't
attorneys.
use attorneys.
Yep.
Right.
Most of the time.
Most of the
Yeah,
time, right?
most.
And as we're going through the transaction, I find out like in the back of the contract, the agent wrote in an inspection waiver on a house that was built in 1890.
Well,
Right.
there shouldn't be any
There's
issues with that
nothing.
house.
There's nothing wrong with it.
The
I'm
house
telling
should
you
be
about it.
fine.
Right, totally.
1890.
And guess what? There was issues with the house. There was issues with the foundation. There was issues in that. Right, you're right. Yeah, I know. But I was,
So like if I had gotten that contract, I'd be like, absolutely not.
right,
Right.
right.
Now that
exactly.
might change the offer significantly, but let's talk about why that's even in there, right? So like when I get the contract, honestly the first thing I truly go to and look at are the additional provisions because I want to see what did the agents put in there and how are they wording these things.
Right. What are we doing?
Because I love agents. They're a large part of my referral source.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
let's be honest. You're not an attorney. You shouldn't be writing
Right.
these offers.
And they
Yeah.
don't hopefully want to be either. And like the realtors who
No, but, like,
are
have
good
you-
at their job are like, no, you
No,
have
no,
to.
talk to-
You
yeah, talk
have
to
to
the
talk
attorney.
to your
Yeah, yeah,
attorney.
absolutely.
Absolutely.
So like all the best agents call me up and talk to me about,
Can I put this in there?
John, how should I word this appraisal
Right.
limitation? How should I structure this inspection limitation? Because you know what? It also makes my job easier.
I love that you're using the word limitation. It's
Well,
not a
because-
waiver or
well, because you're not waiving.
No, I
you're
know,
you're
I know.
limiting, right? The best agents are the ones that reach out to me, or new agents that I've spoken to and have basically had the chance to speak to about how they should really handle their
Yeah.
new transactions. Right? Those are the best agents too. That when I get the chance to speak to new agents and counsel them on how you should structure your offers, or hey, call me when you're going to put an offer in. Call me up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd rather you call me and we collaborate on how to put certain verbiage into the contract so that when I get it, I don't need to sit there and
Pick
try
it-
to
completely pick
decipher
it
what the
apart.
hell you were trying to put in here. Because some of the appraisal language I get, I'll sit there and be like, what are they even trying to say?
They didn't use ChatGPT.
Yeah, they obviously didn't use ChatGPT to put this in there. But
ChatGPT would never steer us wrong.
Right.
No,
I know.
no,
I don't think so.
apparently it
Hasn't done
doesn't.
it.
No,
Hasn't,
no.
hasn't seen it
but
wrong yet.
no, look, at
It's
the
gonna
end-
make John's job obsolete.
I mean, not yet because
Yeah.
John's still practicing law because of ChatGPT.
It's the only way I draft my contracts. No, sorry. But no, look, it's important for you to have the attorney involved. We're combing through the transaction. We're combing through the contract. I'm not just looking at the contract and be like, oh, yeah, this looks good, fine.
Love it.
You know what? Who needs an attorney?
Huh?
Who needs an attorney? Screw 'em.
But here's
No, you
and
you
again,
totally
we could
need an
we could
attorney.
Yeah,
keep
you
going
do.
through examples, but I have a contract right now, and this is a builder who I've worked with several times. He buys all his properties cash, and he never uses an attorney. And stressfully enough, he doesn't ever want to get a survey. But there's a seller's attorney on the other side, and the realtor called me yesterday, and we had just ordered title, and he's fantastic to work with, but there's no buyer's attorney, so he's communicating directly with seller's counsel. And the agent called me. She's like, "Are we out of attorney review?" Like, no one knows because
Right, when do you know?
there was really no attorney review
just had this happen.
period started.
Yeah.
I mean, we could go through like tons.
Why
of
did they get another? Did they get another offer and they won?
Well, no. So last month, I had buyers come to me, prior clients of mine, buying vacant land, and seller didn't have representation. So I was negotiating with the seller. When I was
yeah.
negotiating, I was sending my review letter over to the seller directly. So, he tried to put things in there, and I'm like, no, that's not standard. This isn't commercial. There's nothing time of essence. Like, take my letter. You can read it, but let's sign off on it and conclude review.
Right.
That's it. And if you have an issue, go get an attorney. That's it.
Yeah.
It's accept these are standard, or the deal's dead. Because my clients, either way, were fine, whatever. Signed off on it, great. Now this is why you should have an attorney on both sides, whether you're buying or selling. You should
Right.
always have an attorney. I don't care what side you're on. So, deal's moving forward. I have my standard provisions in there about, inspection, due diligence, surveys, whatever it is, right? No automatic waivers, which basically means for people who don't read the contracts, automatic waivers, if time passes, that contingency automatically expires.
Right.
We don't do that on residential deals. Nothing's time of essence. You don't lose your right to exercise that contingency if time lapses. So we have language in there that says, okay, upon a contingency passing, you need to provide me with a 3-day notice to cure. 3 business days, 3 calendar days, whatever we agree on. And if you don't do that, well, the contingency just
Right.
remains open. There's no, until you give me notice, the contingency is open, right? So we do our due diligence. My client's telling me, yeah, everything's great. We can build, we can do what we want. Cool. I'm like, hey, did you get a survey? No. You need to get a survey. Now, it's a 20-acre lot. It's a lot of land. It's a very expensive survey, right? I'm talking about like $5,000, $7,000.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's 20 acres.
It's it that, and that's not, and that's
Okay,
not.
you go walk that property and survey it.
That's not an overnight survey job too.
No.
So most
Yeah,
properties,
but, I mean, it's a survey. I mean, the guy gets out the little machine. All right, this is okay.
make a note of this when our clients
Yeah.
talk
That's
to
your
Ryan. That we need to make sure
Hold on.
Ryan's pushing
I-
a survey too, because it sounds like right now
Yeah,
he's like, "What? Are
I
you just gonna
can't-
take a ruler out and just get out there? What are you talking about?"
I can't wait to have Lauren
No, I know you
someone
need to
from
have a
Morgan
survey.
Engineering on and
Yeah.
replay this little clip for them.
Yeah.
No, listen, I know you need a survey,
It's
but
gonna,
that
it's gonna
seems
be like
egregious
Maury,
to me.
and Ryan's like, "I never said
No,
that."
because
It's like
no,
Ryan
because-
did in fact.
So they're not
say-
just like mapping out the boundary lines for me.
Yes.
I get the survey back, right? And I tell my clients, this is why you get a survey.
This is why.
So survey comes in. I'm looking at it. First thing I notice, like half of the property is wetland. Okay, half of the property. So automatically in my mind, well, okay, property value goes down by 50% because now I can only build on 50%. Then I'm looking and there's a conservation easement on 2/3 of the property. So now my purchase price should go down by 2/3 because I can only build on this little section that has been mapped out for me with setbacks,
Yeah.
right? So they're just walking the property, just
Hey.
putting stakes in.
All right, maybe
So-
we're some waiters. I don't know. I mean, but okay. Like,
So anyway, we get
get the
so
little orange,
I
little
go through
orange
this with
paint,
them.
little marker. Here you go.
We call up. No, look, if you didn't have an attorney and you got this document, I don't know, would you know how to read it? Would you know what you're looking at? Like, okay, it looks like an easement. All right, I don't know what that means. I'll call up the title company. I'll call
Right.
up the surveyor. I don't know.
I can't even imagine. I cannot even imagine. And I've seen clients buy property like this
Yeah.
that ends up being wetlands, and they want to build a new house on it.
Oh,
A
right,
new-
like a
and-
5,000 square foot
and
house, and you can only
there's-
build like
and
1,500
that
square
you
feet.
can't do anything with it.
Yeah.
And now, good luck reselling it because
Right.
you're
So-
gonna lose your money.
Yeah.
So to get to the finale here, right? We have a long conversation with Morgan Engineering. That's our go-to surveyor. They're fantastic. I speak to the engineer and I'm like, look, my clients are on the call. What can I do? He's like,
Right.
well, he's like, over time, wetlands increases, it decreases. He's like, but without spending like $10,000
Yeah.
to get us as the engineering company and then the environmental for the wetlands and all that
Yep.
involved, it's like a $10,000 job to determine where the wetlands, the buffers actually lie, because this is just what we're getting from all the public documentation and what we did. But you have to physically walk that property inch by inch to determine where the wetlands are, and then they put the wetland stakes.
Just
So-
to be potentially told no.
Right.
You could, and my friend went through this, paying thousands and thousands of dollars just to.
Well, right. So you
not
could
have
potentially
to-
spend $10,000,
to
and
do
then they're like,
nothing.
you can't build anywhere on this property because the wetlands has basically encumbered the entire property.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
not just the 2/3.
Or there's like an endangered animal that lives on it,
Yeah,
which
so-
happens.
the spotted toad, and you
A
gotta
hundred- but
remove-
that it
you have to remove
absolutely
the toad.
happens.
Yeah, you have to declassify it, and good luck. Like I know clients of mine who have spent a year to 2 years declassifying wetlands,
Mm-hmm.
but that's maybe, I don't know, quarter of an acre of the property,
Right.
not 20. So we come to the conclusion, guys, we're killing the deal. I send them my contract, my riders, everything that I've put into the contract and changed, and I go, look, you can cancel under due diligence, you can cancel under inspections, you can cancel under your survey provision. So you tell me what you want to do. John, kill the deal. Email the client on email the seller on a Sunday. Hey, look, here's all the due diligence documents you gave us. Here's our survey. we can't move forward. You can move forward and spend upwards of 10 grand to show us where the wetlands are, so we could determine what can actually be built, or we're just going to kill the deal. All right, I'm getting my litigation attorney involved. I'm like, all right, good luck. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Because my rider is black and white, and I have the absolute right to terminate. But guess what? The second the other party tells me you can't release the deposit, well, as an attorney, I ethically cannot release the deposit. So now the deposit's sitting in escrow while we get
Work
a
that
litigation
out.
attorney, fight with their litigation attorney about, what's actually in my rider.
How much deposit? Was it a big deposit?
23,000. But look, at the end of the day, we have the absolute right to get out because all my language is in there. You never sent me notice. Okay, now had he had an attorney who was diligent, you diary in your calendar, right? All your contingency dates as a seller's attorney, buyer's attorney, so I know when all my contingencies expire. So if I'm on the selling end and a mortgage expires or due diligence expires, okay, boom, here's your 3-day notice. Get us the document, or and I try to push in my provisions on the selling side. The contingency is waived, so we're still moving forward, and you lose your right. Some guys fight me on that, and it's, well, either party can cancel. But that notice was never provided, and we had the absolute right to get out. Now, had he had an attorney, things might be different. He might have been more protected.
Sure.
He just lost the deal, and
Yeah.
Look, at the end of the day,
He has no recourse.
And it's not the same in every state, but having an attorney and most, you see it more on the commercial side because it is more, because you're talking about higher dollar figures,
Right.
and there's more money at stake,
Right.
And having an attorney is worth the amount of money that they spend, even though it's significantly more.
Yeah.
But having that attorney there to protect you is I mean, it saves you, in the long run.
It's just like
It's
title
another
insurance.
type of insurance.
It's another type of insurance. You hire the attorney.
That's why you hire an attorney to
Yeah.
cover to protect you.
Absolutely.
So
So now, and then to touch on other things, it's like, all right, if you're buying a property from an entity that's selling, maybe they've rented it out and it's a business asset, right? Well, in Jersey we have bulk sale. So now if you're a buyer without an attorney in New Jersey, down south where you don't use attorneys, and there's a bulk sale issue which you have no idea about, and at some point that comes up post closing, that now this property has a lien on it because the state's imposing a liability against this property for $30,000 in escrow for taxes, which is income tax on the business asset. That's on the buyer.
Buyer's on
It's
the
the
hook.
buyer's obligation to file the C-9600 with the state to show that, to get a waiver or get a letter that says X amount of money needs to be held in escrow because we're imposing this liability on the seller, and then it's the seller's obligation to file the TTD form to
Yeah.
show we only owe X.
Yeah.
But if you don't have an attorney who knows that that's what you're supposed to do.
Right.
So in South Jersey,
Title company can't file it on your behalf.
that's
No,
not a
I
title
know.
thing. So like, there are so many nuances in we're just talking about residential.
Right.
This is just residential.
Yeah, and you know what's funny? It becomes like I think for clients, it becomes a cost thing. Especially in other parts of the country, not necessarily here in New Jersey. You just got to know you need an attorney.
Up here.
But but I think for a lot of clients, it becomes a cost thing. The same thing that happens to me too, and the same thing that
Right.
happens for you with title. It's like,
I think-
oh, why am I spending this $400? Why am I spending this $500?
I think we as attorneys in New Jersey get hit the hardest with the shopping around. So it's like, well, I have a guy who's doing it for $875, and I'm like, good luck, go ahead, God bless, use him.
Yeah.
$875 on a purchase, you're going to deal with his paralegal, and you're never going to hear from this guy.
And that's-
You may never even talk to him on a consultation. You're getting my cell phone. You can text me all day, every day, weekends, doesn't matter. You can call my cell phone. We'll talk personally. You don't ever have to call my office.
Who you work with,
I
matters.
harass. We harass John all the time.
I get calls from clients all day, every day. Those are those are the only people that really call or text me. No one else cares about me.
I think now
We care about
in
you.
northern
We love you,
New
buddy.
Jersey, if you're an attorney and you really you have to compete with the fact that you have to give out your cell phone and all these things, and you
Yeah.
have to work.
I'm not mad about it.
You,
It's
no,
just part
but
of the
you,
business.
you just have to work the same hours essentially as the realtors do too. And I know you see this too on weekends when people are showing clients' houses and they need like a pre-approval and it's Saturday or Sunday.
At 8:00, and I'm at my niece's
Yeah.
whatever
Right.
event,
Right.
and
I mean,
I need to go. All right, hold on, let me go to the car.
Yeah, let me do this real quick.
Do
Right.
that now
That's a
for you.
whole, and that's
But
you
I
know,
mean, you know how many
before
calls-
closing. I was gonna say that's a whole nother episode.
That is.
being
Oh.
married to someone or with someone
Oh
who works
yes, we
in
should
their
have our
rooms,
spouses on
who
and have
works-
them talk.
Well, we'll just sit
That would be
outside
fun,
and they can
let
just
them-
complain about us.
Let them
for-
have. No, we won't even be
a half
involved.
hour.
Yeah, let
No,
them
we'll
just
just sit outside.
jump. Oh, Bill, Dan, and April. My kids,
Yeah.
I can't imagine.
They were-
That would be a
No,
fun
they'll end up,
episode.
they'll end up
I mean-
talking about Below Deck or Bravo shows.
Well,
for
I don't. Does
half
Diana
hour.
watch
Yeah.
Housewives and all that stuff?
No, she does.
No, so it'll just be
Bill and
Bill and
April
April.
talking
She
about
could
Below Deck.
she could do Friends. She could do Friends for
Oh, yeah.
hours.
But I have to stress that yes, I get the question all the time from most clients, like, well, why can't I just do this on my own?
Yeah.
And for the reasons we laid out in this episode, but mostly because I want to protect your best interests. Like that's why
Yeah.
if it's not me and it's another attorney, that's all that matters. Just hire an
Right.
attorney. I prefer it would be me.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I want to make sure
Hire
you're
a real
protected.
estate
Like
attorney.
so, at the end of the day, if I'm flexible with my fees, of course, because I don't want to lose a client for $200 to some other attorney because I know I'm going to do a better job. I know that. I know they're going to be well taken care of, and that the agent that referred them to me is going to. They will look very good because I know top-notch service. And in this industry, you have to. And like we said, it's the nature of the beast. It's part of this industry. Lack of sleep, lack of vacations, lack of time off, because as you guys know, I mean,
Right. What is?
I go down to the beach, and what am I doing? My computer's with me on the
Well,
beach
it's
because
that
deals
old
are
saying, right?
rolling
Like,
in, and you have to just
driving,
do it.
driving a baby.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like,
Oh, please stop.
hey, you're in there.
Well, the value that we provide doesn't equal the price that they want to pay, right? Like,
But that's the thing.
I'm just
because,
saying, you'll get time
No,
off.
I know, I get it.
no,
I
I
was kidding.
There's time off. I don't get time off.
Oh, but even look, when April had the baby, I only had like my 2 weeks off. I was working from home. That was my time off.
Yeah.
There's no. The real estate industry is a different animal. Like I'm jealous of my friends who leave work at 5. I'm jealous of April who leaves work at 5:30, logs off, and
That's it.
boom. That's
There
it.
is no time off.
Yeah,
is.
Ryan
There really
before
is.
was like, you need to like unplug. I'm like, what are you talking about? What is that?
Unplug.
I get anxiety if like
My
you-
phone
you
is in
said it-
airplane mode right
Yeah.
now.
I get
it's
anxiety
stressful.
like right now while we do the podcast
Yeah.
for like the 30 minutes or so
As the
that we
emails
film,
roll in.
As the emails roll in, I'm like, oh man, when I get to my office at like 11:30,
Yeah,
what the hell am I
bing,
gonna
bing,
expect?
bing,
Yeah,
bing,
it's gonna
bing,
be a nightmare.
But then when you're slow, it's really stressful.
It's
When the-
it's
when the
equally as
call-
stressful
yes.
in a completely different way, and
Right.
you're like, oh my god, what am I
But,
doing wrong? I'm worthless.
I think,
Nobody loves me.
and then real quick on the selling side, right? You end up needing an attorney anyway because you have to
Right.
go and get an attorney to do the sale documents, right?
So, it's
So-
right, and this is in South Jersey too. When someone doesn't use, in closing, when someone doesn't use a real estate attorney, or on the seller side, transfer documents,
Oh yeah.
1099, FERPTA, affidavit, title, deed need to be drafted, and the title company. People say, "Oh, I'll just get a title company to do that." The title company is utilizing an attorney to draft those documents.
Right.
They're
Right.
legal
You're paying
documents.
for it, yeah.
Are you
Right.
gonna, and they're getting charged? So it's like,
You're gonna pay.
you're gonna pay. You have
for
to
the
pay
document prep
someone
anyway.
at some point. You just gotta pay and just
Right.
if it's all
Look,
about.
I mean, at the end of the day,
pricing,
you if you're buying a piece of real estate, it's a more complicated transaction than buying a car.
It is
or
one of
buying
the-
a television.
It's one of the biggest investments you're going to make
Yeah.
as a human being on this earth. You're not going to make a bigger investment as a first-time home buyer, in my
Right.
opinion. Right?
Yeah, on the
When-
residential
uh,
side,
residential side-
if you're thinking about not getting an attorney, think twice about that decision because ultimately you don't want to be the case that we highlight as why you shouldn't have used it, why you chose not to.
Be
and-
risk adverse.
Yeah.
Right? Be risk adverse. Get your title insurance. Get your attorney. Get a
Yeah,
lender.
yeah.
Right? If you're getting financing, but like you want all the parties involved to protect you, because if you don't do it, it's going to cost you way more. And that's the conversation I have. It's like if you don't hire an attorney, and if you don't hire me, and you don't hire the other guy who's charging you half of what I'm charging you, or $300 less than what I'm charging you, you're gonna pay way more in litigation fees or whatever the issue that might pop up.
Well, it's different when you try to do it on your own. Like that's what's it's, like trying to be people. I'm sure you've heard this, right? ALD, almost law degree.
Yeah.
Like you'll get people who think that they,
Yeah.
that they have and they probably do have a pretty
Yeah.
good sense of, legalese and a lot of the
And that's
contract
fine,
law and
but
stuff
do
like
you
that.
know
But
the nuances of the state that you're working in, that you're buying?
right,
house in?
but to your point about like the spotted toad, right? And but it's a
yeah,
thing. It
yeah.
really is a thing. It's not bullshit.
Right.
Like and
Yeah.
you can get screwed, if you're buying,
Yeah.
and that's more on the land development side and
Right.
things like that. We have to be.
But do you know that you need to order a survey if you're just a first-time home buyer? Is someone going to tell you
No.
that you should order a survey as a
Most
first-time
people don't
home
even
buyer
know what the
without-
survey is.
No, but I'm saying, like, who's telling you?
And then
that-
that's too much for the realtor to have to say, you have to do this, 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 and this, because then they're taking on the responsibility of saying, you have to
Yeah.
order title, you have to order a survey. And,
Yeah.
in
Their
all
job.
fairness to them, that should be out of their scope of having to do all these things.
Absolutely. That
So-
it all falls into
Yeah.
part of the legal aspect of it, and
Listen, if you're thinking about buying a house, and you're a first time home buyer, you absolutely need an attorney. You should use an attorney. I don't care if you're in a state that doesn't require you to use an attorney. You should use an attorney.
look, my parents
it will cover you.
Parents, family members buying places in Florida. I look at the contracts.
Yeah.
There's two different, and I'm more familiar with it now because I have so many family members in Florida. But there's two different types of contracts, and I'm not really looking at the substance in there. I'm looking to see what the realtor threw in there, because that's what happens. They end up throwing things into the contract, and I'm like, why did you do that? You're supposed to be representing my parents' best interest. Why did you put that in there?
Well, I mean, they just
Or so-and-so's best
may
interest.
not truly even
Know what they're putting in.
Know what they're putting in.
And that's what, and with newer agents, I see that all the time on Jersey transactions. So it does blow my mind that half of our state doesn't use an attorney because it's the same exact transaction that goes on up here.
Right.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. You'd be
If
It's just like a
it's actually
different
more
custom.
more issues though because of the Tidelands claims
Yeah.
and the flood.
Yeah.
So get an attorney. Spend
Yeah,
the
I mean,
money.
look,
I
if
mean,
you're-
look. At the end of the day, what are we talking about here, right? We're talking about anywhere from probably $1,500 to
$2,000 on
$2,000.
residential.
And that's 2,000. We're probably talking about it being a multi-family, like a two-family, and we're looking at leases and drafting additional
Okay.
documentation. Or if it's an FHA loan, there's some additional docs that we need to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
But what if if you don't and you do the inspection and then you find out that there's
right, I'm
this
negotiating
issue's
the
wrong and that
inspections,
issue's
right,
wrong
exactly.
and blah blah blah
Yeah.
and now all of
There's
a
a lot
sudden-
that goes into it. I'm not
Yeah,
just sitting
yeah.
here reviewing the contract. I'm reviewing the contract, negotiating the inspections with you, reviewing title, reviewing survey. I'm going over the loan documents with you if you have a mortgage at closing. I'm attending closing. That's another big thing. I attend closing, all my closings.
Mm-hmm.
I show up in person, and I will, if I can make it. Obviously, if I don't have another, prior engagement, I'm going to show up to closing. So, there's a lot that I provide.
Well, then what do you,
know?
and then what do you do again? Like on the seller side, you transfer documents, and what do you do if you need to do a use and occupancy or there's a tenant in the property? I mean,
An
this
amendment
is
to the contract. How can you sit there and tell me that a realtor has the ability to draft an amendment to a contract or an use and occupancy agreement or an escrow, a post-closing escrow agreement?
It cracks me up that they're writing a legal document.
well,
right?
or that a client
With no
wants to do that
legal
too.
representation.
And again,
You're relying on a
this is
realtor
why-
who did 80 hours of
This is
education
why-
and that's it.
in my opinion, and I'm not biased because I'm from New York, I just think that New York does it better. You do inspections before you submit the offer.
Yeah.
You submit the binder, you do your inspections, and then based off the binder, the term sheet, you draft your contract, and that's
Right.
like your attorney review. You go back and forth with writers, and then you sign the contract.
Yeah.
It's just a better process, and whatever. That could be another topic, another episode. But I think get an attorney.
Well, it's good to
Let's do
it's
it.
good to understand like the attorney does play a role in making
Yeah.
sure that the contract is written correctly
Yeah.
for your benefit.
Yeah.
And is done so to protect your interests throughout the transaction because people. I think attorneys get a bad rap sometimes where they're just like, oh, all he's doing is just look at the contract and then that's it, and then I never hear from him again.
No.
But it's kind of the same thing like with title insurance or anything else,
Yeah.
right? Like you're paying for that person, but when you need him, he's
Yeah,
there
they're
for
there.
you.
Yeah.
Then you're like, oh, whew, thank God
Right.
I had an attorney instead of
It's pretty rare that I get. It's pretty rare that I speak to a client and after I speak to them, they don't use me.
yeah,
like-
or we're referring
No,
you
no.
out and yeah.
Yeah, I think it's pretty rare that if I get on the phone with you, I'm gonna close that client and they'll retain me as their attorney. It's
because you're good at what you do.
ABC.
Yeah. Always the
John's
closing.
shining personality.
Yeah, right. Look
Pretty-
at him.
pretty
Look at him.
glowing.
Yes,
Pretty glowing.
It's there.
glowing. It is the beautifully coiffed hair.
I do have
I
great
mean,
hair.
it is looking
great
mint
hair.
today.
So look,
You know what's funny? Oddly
Let's-
familiar because it looks just the same as last episode.
like exactly the same.
I mean, it's nice.
We should wrap it up before Ryan makes John cry.
No,
I don't.
Why?
I'm
Why?
not
About his
sensitive.
hair.
He's
About
not
my hair?
sensitive.
No, I'm
He's
not sensitive.
He's an attorney.
The only person.
He's like, I'm not.
that's-
If
the
someone
only-
goes to touch his hair, he would literally like
No,
beat them.
come on.
Yeah, I'll touch
No, yeah.
Do you use
He's
gel or hairspray?
what
You
is
use
it- what's it
hairspray.
called? No, it's like the one. It's the like the pomade or the it's dry,
Oh, fancy.
and then hairspray.
Oh, do you?
It's a
My hair-
3-step process.
My hair is very
Wow.
thick; it'll fall. Man.
Oh my God! How much time are you spending in?
We don't have enough
we
time
don't have
today
enough
to talk
time
about.
today.
Right,
We,
we
can
gotta
have,
wrap
we can have
this
another
up.
episode, but let's wrap this up. See you next time.
Get an attorney.